Hey, welcome to Dreamcatcher, the program where you can find peace through understanding dreams and visions. I'm traveling to Texas with my brother and my mom, and we pulled over to spend the night here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, in this sweet little place called Best Court. If you're traveling through Hot Springs, I would highly recommend checking out this nice little place, Best Court. We're getting ready to go have breakfast and then go check out the hot baths. So right behind me, that's the bathhouse that we were just at. It was wonderful. It was refreshing. But perhaps we should have done this differently because now we're too tired to get in the car. We've got about 4 hours to go. But the bathhouse, what a relaxing, wonderful experience. We're getting ready to leave Hot Springs. If you're ever in this part of the country, Hot Springs, a sweet little town. We're going to leave it and see what other adventure we can get into.
Did you hear that? Take a look. Oh, by the way, thank you for tuning in to Dreamcatcher. I had the privilege of going to Israel this year, and it's called a shofar. Well, if you don't mind, I'll tell you a quick story about this shofar. I told my wife when we knew we were going, and I said, the hymn moment I'm looking for is also a shofar is involved in it. And Kim, my wife, said, well, you can buy a shofar anywhere. I said, you can. But not my shofar. You can't buy it anywhere. Because God has a shofar for me. That's different than just a shofar. Well, so we went over there. And as you can well guess, there was plenty of these over there. I mean, you couldn't hardly walk any direction that there wasn't a place that had a shofar. And I'm thinking, well, I'm in Israel. It don't get much better than that to buy a shofar. So I started looking. And have you ever had that feeling in your life that you go, it ain't that one? I just know it's not that one. And there were all kinds of them. They were tall ones, and they were little ones, and they were skinny ones, and they were fatter ones, and there was high dollar ones, and there was some El Cheapo. Well, the first day I started looking. Second day I looked, and we was over there 10 days. And you would think in 10 days I'd find one. Well, after about the 5th or 6th day, I thought, and I've looked. I looked everywhere. I even picked a few up that were they were nice. But it wasn't the one for me. Because I know when God speaks to me, how he speaks to me, and none of them spoke to me. And I know sometimes that's the most craziest statement I've ever said, but God deals with each individually different. He deals with me a specific way. Well, long story short, it was like 2 days before we left, and I hadn't bought one yet. My wife come to me and said, what are you doing? You've passed up thousands of shofars. I said, I know. But I'll know when I get to it. And as she was walking in front of me, I was praying behind her, going, now God, I know I can buy a shofar and have it shipped. I know I can get one anywhere. But God, I want the one you have for me. And is it here? Where's it at? Because I ain't found it yet. And I know I was going to have a him moment. We had the privilege to go to Bethlehem. Try not to tear up. But I was in Bethlehem. We got to go to a jewelry store. And everybody was getting jewelry and all kinds of stuff. And I looked at my wife and I said, my shofar's here. And I don't see any. She said, you didn't see the ones you walked in? I said, no, honey, I didn't see them. And so each one of us had a person that helped us. This young lady walked up to me and said, sir, I'll be happy to help you. And she was a Jew. Just a sweetheart of a salesperson. And I said, ma'am, I've come here to buy my shofar today. Where are they at? And she took me over there, and there was a big tube of them, and they were protruding out of this 5 foot, 10 foot, 6 foot, 4 foot, 2 foot. And she proceeded to get one or two of them. And as she was doing that, I knew I had one shot at this. And I said, ma'am, I know you want to sell, but you got to back off a minute. Because I know my shofar's here. I just ain't seen it yet. So she stepped back, and as she did, I started praying and saying, God, which one of these is mine? I didn't ask price. I didn't care the price. I wanted my shofar. She proceeded to grab back in and do it. And I said, ma'am, thank you so much. But I've got one shot at this, and I've got to know that this is the one God gave me, not because it's a better price or whatever. I said, ma'am, will you just step back? And she did ever so kindly. As I looked, I grabbed this one and I grabbed that one, and this one, this much was sticking down in the bottom. I didn't know how big that thing was. That much was sticking out. And I went, oh. And it was down, twisted down inside, and all that was sticking out was this. Out of the 50 or 60 that was there. And as I touched it, the Spirit of God come upon me. And I eased it out by itself. And when it come unwound, I held it like this. And I said, God, is this the one? And tears started rolling down my face. And I couldn't turn it loose. And I held it. And the Spirit of God come on me and said, yes, this is the one I want you to have. And when I got that, I started wiping the tears. And I looked, and the young lady was crying. And I said, take and put this up. This is the one God wants me to have. I didn't even look at the price. I didn't care the price. She went and put it up. She came back to me. She said, what else would you like? And she started wiping the tears off her face. And I said, oh, my wife is looking for some jewelry for her friends. And this is why I came here today. My shofar was here. And she looked at me. She stopped me and she put her hand on mine and said, how did you know that was the one? And I looked at her and I said, you know the one you call Yahweh? He lives right here. The one you call Jehovah Jireh, my provider? He lives right here. And she turned and grabbed my hand and said, I know, because when he talked to you, he touched my heart too. Will you pray for me? I said, I'll be happy to. I would love to. I grabbed her hand and I said, every time I blow this shofar, I'm going to blow it for you. She said, thank you. I needed that today. Well, I told this story to some people in Texas. And a young man that I love dearly looked at me and said, God took you all the way to Israel for that woman. And I went, and I thought it was for a shofar. And it was. So this shofar is the one God spoke to me to get. And it's stamped from Bethlehem, the land where promise came from. Wow. Hope it blessed your heart. And this is how it sounds. Till next time, catch your dream. Catch your dream.
Whew, we finally made it. Traffic in Dallas is horrible. It's worth planning your trip around not being there during rush hour. But we have finally arrived at the Dry River Ranch here in Weatherford, Texas, where my brother lives. Look how beautiful it is here.
Hey there! I have a dream testimony to share with you. So the last 6 months, I had a dog who was having some health issues and his health started to decline. And I knew that it would be a possibility we might have to put him down. And I was struggling. I had told the Lord, I don't want to decide the giver of life and death. And I know that might seem silly to some, but it was honestly the weight and anxiety I was feeling. And so I had taken my dog into an appointment thinking that it was going to improve him, but it did not. And I went home and he did not improve like I thought he was going to. And I thought, oh no, I need to take him in for another appointment. He needs to be seen urgently. Well, right before all of that, I had had a dream. And in the dream, I had taken my dog to an appointment. And the nurse was asking me what was the problem and what was wrong, and I explained. And she didn't even hardly look at him. She just looked at me and she said, I'm so sorry. And she just kept apologizing to me over and over as if she were giving her condolences. And I didn't really like what she had to say. And so, of course, I was questioning the situation and I woke up. Well, that day when I went to take my dog in for a second appointment, I was still struggling. I said, Lord, please show me the right decisions to make. Well, when I opened the door of that vet office, the very first person that I saw was that woman from my dream who I have never met before. And so she didn't say anything to me. She was talking to another patient. But as I sat in the waiting room, I was sobbing. And I knew the Lord was showing me that it was his time. And so he ended up putting him down. And it was so very sad. But I was also so grateful. I thought, wow, Lord, you showed me. I felt like that weight had been lifted, even though I did ultimately become the one to make the decision. I felt like the Lord was confirming to me that I was making the right decision and I wasn't feeling the weight of that. And so I share that to encourage others to really give your hard parts of life to the Lord. Tell him your every anxiety, everything that is bothering you, everything that weighs you down. Because I thought, if the Lord can guide me with an issue with my dog, my pet, how much more can he guide us, his people, his children, whom he loves so much? And so the word says that he knows every hair on our heads. He already knows everything that we're facing in our lives. But not only does he know, he cares so deeply for us. The word also says that he is near the brokenhearted. Whatever breaks our heart, whatever is weighing on our heart, he is close to us. All we have to do is just look to him and ask, and we can ask for strength. We can ask for wisdom, and he will give it. And so I'm so thankful for the Lord walking me through that. And so I just share that to encourage anyone out there who is struggling with a hard thing and you don't know what to do or you don't know where to turn. But you don't have to turn anywhere. You just have to look to the Father.
Oh, Alicia, thank you for sharing that dream and what happened afterwards. That's a beautiful example of one of the many reasons God gives us dreams. Sometimes they don't need explanation or interpretation. God wanted to prepare your spirit for a tough time ahead. The scripture says for us to cast our cares on him because he cares for us. And like you said, that means all the details. If it's important to you, it's important to God. Thank you for sending that.
Hey, Robin. A while back, you interpreted a series of dreams that I had had and a few people I knew had had of me being pregnant. Now, of course, I have 6 children, and so when I dream of pregnancy, I'm asking the Lord, is this a real baby? But I knew that it wasn't a real baby. I knew that the Lord was going to birth a new thing, as you confirmed, as the Lord has been confirming in different dreams. However, I was a little confused because the Lord had just walked me through a season of purging and simplifying in my life. Things that I had been saying yes to that I now needed to say no to. Well, he was carving out space for another thing. And so I was a little bit hesitant because I felt the Lord pushing me to take a step out in faith to start teaching a class full of middle schoolers at our church. I do not feel like the most qualified. I do not feel the most equipped, but I could feel that nudge to take a step forward. Well, I finally came forward after some bantering and going back and forth with the Lord and really wanting to make sure that I was making the right choice. So when I took a step forward and I told our children's director that I was willing to step forward and take on this class, I had a dream. And in that dream, I was looking at me and my husband, and we had just found out that we were expecting, and he was kissing me, and we were crying tears of joy because we were so excited about this new thing that was about to come. And when I first had that dream, I didn't understand. But after I have now taught a class of middle schoolers at our church, I understand what the Lord was showing me. And he was showing me that something beautiful had been conceived, that something beautiful was set into motion, that he is going to birth a new thing within myself, within these children, within our church. And although, like the pregnancy process, it's not easy, it's not always comfortable, it's tiresome, it is worth it. And so I just wanted to say thank you for giving me the dream interpretations and confirming what the Lord was showing me in my life. And then, the Lord too, when I still was in question of asking the Lord what that was, what that new thing was going to be, I realized it was already under my nose. So thank you for that.
There is so much important information and revelation in what you just heard Alicia say. So many times we feel like we've missed God because we thought he told us to do a thing and now he's telling us not to. It doesn't mean that he didn't tell you to do it in the first place. It was time for him to make room for something else. I love in the dream that the husband is totally on board, which he was, And because she listened to this, because she didn't just say, oh, I miss God, or get angry at God because he closed some doors, she trusted him, that he knew what was best. She stepped in it, and look where she is. She is now imparting wisdom and truth to other people, to the children in her church. God has a plan for you, and it isn't always something we know about, and sometimes it may feel like we missed him. Trust him. Ask Holy Spirit. Thank you for that revelation and that wisdom. How powerful. Well, you can probably tell by the pretty maples behind me that I'm not in Texas anymore. I'm back home at my house. The truth is, I had a lot more footage from the ranch, some beautiful settings, a pond with some wonderful stonework around it and a sandy beach. There was another setting where this fabulous tree had bent over and grew that way, and another shot with little baby, brand new colts playing behind me. But somehow, in the middle of traveling and trying to upload footage so I could save it, it got lost. And not one of those dreams. I have 4 more dreams to share, and all of that footage is lost. So I had a pity party. I got over it, and I was trying to figure out how to continue this program, to kind of have some kind of continuity. And I remembered a song that my dad recorded. He wrote it for my brother, the one you met, and he played it a few years before he passed. It's called Corralled in Texas. And so I'm going to close out by letting you see my 86-year-old at the time daddy playing a song he wrote for my brother Glenn.
I got a son who lives in Texas, so I wrote him a song. At first I got the urge to roam. I left my Blue Ridge Mountain home, the rolling hills of Tennessee. Before I got to seek my roots, the sexy sand got in my boots. Then I ended up in OBD. I was chasing girls and rodeos from San Antonio to El Paso. That just seemed to be my destiny. And then one night in the Waco town, a little filly brought me down. Then she put her Texas brand on me. Well, I'm around in Texas. I'm around for good. And I'll never get out of Texas. Don't you know I wouldn't if I could. Yeah. No mistake, the little fillies kept me straight. I never forget the urge to jump the fence. And though the years have passed by, she's still the apple of my eye. I could be happier if I had good sense. Well, I'm around in Texas. I'm around
Today's program has taken you all over the world. We started in Tennessee, we went to Texas, we came back to Tennessee, and we even got to hear a story from Bill of what happened to him when he was in Israel. Wherever you are, God is there, and He's talking to you, and He wants you to know what He's saying. Catch us here next time on Dreamcatcher, and catch your dreams.
And it's also wonderful when you get the confirmation of it.
Yes.
And that happens sometimes. And one of the other dreams that I had that was a corporate dream about Love's Way, it was a whole bunch of us, and we were down in a two-story home, but we were all down on the first floor. And Pastor was there, and he said, let's all go, we're moving up. We're all going up to the second floor. And I think it was within days, he stood on the stage and said, he came to the edge of the stage. I'll never forget this because I had the dream, and I knew it was a corporate dream about Love's Way, going up higher. And he stood at the edge of the stage and said, we are going up higher.
God would do that a lot of times within the body. There's someone here in the church, and they didn't tell me this in front of a camera, so I'm not going to tell you who it was, but they came to me and they shared a dream, and they said, I don't even remember the dream. I will tell you that when you tell me this, you think I know everything that's going on in your life. I know nothing. I know nothing. I just know what the symbol means. And when I hear a dream, it just usually goes away because it's not for me. It was just for me to help you with. So I don't even remember them. So I'll go back and watch the show and go, man, that was good. Man, thank you. Because it's not, it's not me. But this person had a dream, and I don't remember the details, but I remember saying to this, it's one of our, not youth, but young adults. And I said, you don't feel like you're seen. You don't feel seen. You feel like no one sees you. And that same, the person tells me this in the foyer. We go in and we sit down, and Pastor says, this is for someone, God sees you. And I'm trying to make eye contact with her. I'm like, I almost stood up. So if y'all see me standing up sometime and doing this, it's because someone had confirmation. I'm trying to get their attention like, did you hear? I mean, that's how personal our God is. It was within minutes. And he says, God says, I see you. You are seen.
Are you looking for a speaker for your next retreat or event? Robin's transparent style comforts and soothes during personal ministry and dream interpretation. She has encouraged thousands around the globe by helping them find peace through understanding.